The research tells us people feel more grief over their pet than they do over their human. Think about the basic of all basic funeral is $3,000 to $5,000, and the grant for work and income is $2,616.
There's a gap.
Some families genuinely can't afford to pay it, so the funeral director ends up with the debt.
What's the most expensive funeral that you've seen then?
None of us want to talk about our own funerals. I don't want to know about it. The reality is, we're all going to get there one day. If we're not prepared, it's the other people around us that it affects. Life is short. It could be way shorter than you realise. We're not all going to live to 80. You've got so much you want to achieve. Why are you holding back?
Well, most of us are too scared to talk about death. This man has to deal with it week in and week out, and he chooses to. Brad Shaw, all the way from Whakatane, New Zealand. Now, the youngest president of the Funeral Directors Association of New Zealand. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're going to cover some serious ground today, including getting into a bit of your journey and what some of us need to be preparing for when it comes to funerals and the cost of them. And we'll dive straight into that before understanding why you even got into this industry. But I read somewhere recently that around 1 in 5 people at the moment are choosing not to have a funeral. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think this is something that's sort of hot on the tape at the moment. Around 1 in 5 people aren't having a funeral, and that means that they're basically no ceremony, just transfer the loved one into the care, and then straight cremation, no service, unattended. So we believe that that's an issue because it doesn't get people started on their personal grief journey the right way if there's no acceptance. So I think it's important for people to understand what they're getting into when it comes to that side of things.
Okay, so I guess practically then talk people through how that would work. So traditionally, I guess people have had a funeral where people are attending to start that grief process or progress it further.
Yeah. Look, traditionally, as everyone knows, you go to the funeral, whether it be traditionally going back years ago, we used to be, church service with a burial, the hymns, father, priest, whatever it may be. Nowadays, it's we're into chapels and we're live streaming and we're photo shows and we're music and it's all personalised and things are totally different. But now we're just taking it to the extreme where we're just not bothering with that at all, and then we'll maybe have a party at home or a bit of a memorial service or something down the track. But a lot of the time they don't eventuate and they don't actually do anything at all. So that's an issue that we've done some grief research with the Grief Centre, and they came back to us and said, look, 70% of people have said that having a funeral is valuable, and we think that should be higher. But people are just, I think it's the no fuss thing too, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to fuss. No, don't worry about it.
I don't want to fuss my parents or my
or the person that's dying. Or
they don't.
They're like, no, I don't want to fuss. Don't worry about it.
So they're saying before they pass away, hey, I don't want to fuss. Let's just get straight to the cremation.
Yeah.
Is that the
don't
most?
Don't worry about it.
Like people, what would the split be between cremations and burials in this day and age?
In the centres, it would be 90% cremation.
Yeah.
Burials are too expensive.
Yeah. What does a burial cost?
Well, it depends where you are, but let's say here in Auckland, a plot might be $5,000.
Wow. Okay.
Then the interment on top of that. So that's, the digging and the actual burial. That might be another couple of grand.
And I assume, this may be a stupid question, but I like to ask them.
Yeah.
That you can't just bury a loved one where you would like to bury them?
No.
Okay.
It's got to be in a cemetery.
Did that get outlawed at any stage?
Not sure about when that might have been outlawed, but it certainly is not. We're still running off really, really old legislation, and we're in the process of legislation getting changed.
Yeah.
But we're basically running through the Burials and Cremations Act of 1964, and even parts of that act are in shillings and pence as far as paying for things. So we're so far behind. And then the Health Burials Act, 1946, I think it is still relevant as well.
I dare say they're probably not at the top of the list of pieces of legislation to update.
No, Chris Luxon's not that keen on that one at this stage. So, and funeral directors in general are we're unregulated industry in general.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that majority of funeral directors in this country are good funeral directors who abide A, by the law, and B, do a good job. So
if people are going straight to cremation, then are they having a service at the cremation, or do they invite a few people? Or
so this is sort of where we're trying to encourage people to do that instead of having nothing at all. So we are seeing more farewell, what we're calling private farewells, which are basically families attending the cremation, sharing a few stories, saying goodbye without the formality. Because I think it's the formality part that people have been hung up on, that they don't want the formality, they don't want maybe the religious content. We are becoming less and less religious as time goes by, and they just don't want the formal aspects of it. And I think they're sort of looking at it going, well, they've taken it from the sublime to the ridiculous by going, well, we'll have nothing at all.
Yeah.
And then 2-3 months down the track, they just haven't dealt with their grief correctly. And actually seeing the casket or seeing the deceased in the casket actually changes a lot around how you feel about it and how you process it and accept the death. And not seeing the casket, not seeing the deceased, nothing at all, does nothing for you as far as that starting, of that journey. So we're seeing a lot more of these private farewells is where I was going with that, which is informal, have a cup of tea afterwards, share some stories, sit around the casket, and then have the person cremated.
Yeah. So what does your role look like in that?
Yeah.
Do you pick up the body and do what you need to do and then take it back home with the family or whānau for a period of time and then go back and get it and then straight to...
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways you can do that. We find some families that they don't want their loved one at home. We find culturally really strong, still really strong. We can talk about that separately. But for the general population of European New Zealanders, they are focused on that private farewell, which likely be at the crematorium, unlikely for them to go home. They might have a viewing at the funeral home or something like that in that safe space, and then they go up to the crematorium and have their final goodbyes there or in our facility, whatever it may be. From the cultural side, Māori are still very strong in this space, very strong. Still using the marae less than what they were because of the rules, but also still using houses like marae. So they always take their loved one home, they always spend 3 days, and they are cremating more now than burying like they used to. But they're still very traditional in their processes.
Gotcha. And I guess with such a changing demographic, both age and then different cultures in New Zealand, all funeral directors across the country need to be adapting.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great to see Paul Spoonley on your podcast last week talking about demographics, and we actually met with Paul as the Funeral Directors Association in April this year, talking about demographics and how funeral directors are going to have to adapt. And culturally, our country is going to change demographically, and funeral directors have to be prepared for that. And the only way that they can be prepared for that is to be employing more culturally diverse staff, building relationships with more culturally diverse communities, and making sure that they are well prepared for what could happen.
And do they each have different protocols or requests?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A Muslim funeral versus a Jewish funeral are totally different. Then you still got the Māori culture, Pacific Islands do things differently as well. So I think funeral directors have been innately aware of dealing with those situations for a long period of time, but I think it's going to get more diverse and completely different by sort of 2040. And also, the death rate's going to, believe it or not, going to go up.
Yeah, because we've got an aging demographic, right?
Correct, yeah.
So there's going to be more and more demand for your guys' services. But how you do it, how it's been done, as Mr. Paul Spoonley talks about, the country is going to look very different. And you've got an industry where what people once wanted, they don't anymore, and they're saying, well, we still want to do this. So you've got to adapt the entire industry.
But the funeral industry is a traditional industry.
Yeah,
right? Completely traditional. And moving with the times is a tough thing to do for funeral directors because they've always done it this way. This is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
We used to be cabinet makers and blacksmiths. You want to go back to the 1800s. Then cabinet makers and blacksmiths who were making coffins decided that maybe we can just adapt this funeral thing. So then the parlour went in the front room, right? A parlour is the front room of the house.
Yeah.
So that's where they started doing that, and they were preparing. And then suddenly embalming came in, and then basically now we're just glorified event managers. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're event managers that do something in a very short space of time, but we do it all the time. So we know what to do and when to do it and how to do it.
How do you handle that? Because you must, at any drop of a hat, your phone can ring and someone's lost their loved one, and then that is, that's all they'll be thinking about. And then you've got to switch into, funeral director mode. It can't be easy.
No, it's not. And, I'm in a rural community, so we find that our way is quite demanding with expectations around this is how it's going to be. In the city, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more around, timing and being available right now. But, in a small community like mine, our hospital doesn't have a mortuary facility. Deceased need to be transferred immediately after death, whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, doesn't matter. The funeral director is expected to answer the phone, get out of bed. We're not just sitting there waiting for it to happen. Go up to the hospital, put a suit on, or if that's the case, and transfer that loved one and show that respect and care that the deceased deserves, and the family, of course. So,
it's a real 24/7 role, right?
Yeah, 24/7, 365 days a year.
How did you get into this space?
I started when I was 16. I read it in a careers book. Thought that'd be pretty cool, I reckon.
You read it in a careers book and thought that could be quite cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like I was narrow-minded. I mean, I was looking at it like, man, I get to wear a suit and tie every day. Imagine that. That'd be pretty cool.
Could have done finance, bro.
Yeah, and I think, that was literally all I was focused on at that point.
Yeah.
I get to wear a suit and tie every day. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Imagine the coloured ties I could have. That'd be sweet.
Where's your tie today?
Yeah, no tie today.
Okay.
No, and no suits really anymore, to be fair, either for me personally in our business. We've spent a lot of time humanising ourselves. We can talk about that, but humanising the industry. And I find that, anyway, the reason I got into the industry, was basically that. And then I started wash the hearses every day, started getting involved in setting up funerals, and then I got into embalming, which is a whole other conversation altogether. And then, just sort of never left.
Yeah.
Just never got out.
And how old are you now?
30.
30, yeah. And now you're at the point where you're the president of the Funeral Directors Association of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it going like that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
When I was 16, I certainly didn't envision that by the time I'd be 30 that I'd be leading the industry.
Yeah.
Look, it's a complete honour and a privilege to lead an industry that is going through significant change, demographically, culturally, but also we're in a change of, people, I guess, placing value on ourselves and going, we are the value, we are what people need. You still need the funeral director. We believe we are the right way to start your journey.
Yeah.
Our professionals are for that. So, it's an honour. It's a privilege to be involved.
Well, I imagine most people wouldn't know what to do when somebody dies. So what do they need to do in terms of that next process? Like, what's typically the process that somebody goes through when they lose a loved one? Yeah,
so the first thing that they would do would be to obviously contact if it depends where it is, but if, let's say it's at home, if it was a hospice care or something like that, then you would contact the doctor, or we would they'd ring the funeral home, we'd contact the doctor, make sure that everything's okay, that the doctor's going to sign the deceased off for a death certificate. And then from there, we would just come around and meet with the family, transfer the loved one into our care, and start whatever process that needs to happen. We'd meet with the family, have a consultation, talk about what they want to do, where they want to do it, how they want to do it, and then put the action into play and put it all together. And hopefully, all going well, have it all done within, the time frame that they want.
Yeah. What happens if there's, a number of deaths at the same time?
Yeah.
In a small area, like how do you keep up with the, let's say, demand?
Yeah. Staff are key.
Okay.
Yeah. Making sure that your staff are adequately trained, and they're key to any organisation. I think the staff are the reflection of your business, and culture is king. And if you've got a good culture in your staffing group, then it portrays into the way you deal with families, especially in a funeral home, right? Yeah. Because you're so forward facing. It's a completely front facing business where you have to be on your best game at all times, and it's completely difficult to be emotionally connected all the time, and they've got to be the right person.
Too many of us signed up to a KiwiSaver plan without much thought. And signing up is great, but if you've never got advice before, you could be missing out. Your KiwiSaver account could become one of your biggest assets over your lifetime. That's why getting expert advice early and ensuring you're in the right fund is so worthwhile. Generate have a team of KiwiSaver advisors available to help. Head to generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change to book a no obligation meeting. They can even come to you. A copy of the product disclosure statement is available at generatekiwisaver.co.nz. The issuer of the scheme is Generate Investment Management Limited, and of course, past performance does not guarantee future returns.
Well, I'd imagine for most people it's pretty hard to talk about death, whereas it'd just be very transactional and normal for you now, probably much like me talking about money, where people will go, well, that's, that can be emotional. Is that part of what we need to be thinking more about with our parents, for instance, what's in their will regarding their funeral, or even getting them to think about that side of things? Are you seeing...
Financially, I think that's the big issue.
Okay, let's talk to that then.
Yeah. Yep. So I think financially, look, as a country, we're getting better, but we are underprepared. Yep. And I think when it comes to parents, children having to pay for parents' funerals because parents don't have enough money to pay for it, they could have been far more prepared around having some sort of either prepaid funeral plan or insurance product that could definitely ease that burden going forward. And I think being prepared in that space can be very easy as far as it can cost very minimal. Even local funeral directors would be very happy to help out in that space. And I think you've got to be forward thinking. It's so tough to talk about your own demise. I mean, none of us want to talk about our own funerals.
No.
I don't want to know about it.
No.
Right? But the reality is we're all going to get there one day. And if we're not prepared, then it's the other people around us that it affects.
So is that what you see, where people lose a loved one and then the stress falls on the children, say, or the remaining people, to then figure out, okay, far out, how do we provide for this? Because there's just been not a lot of thought go into the fact death was inevitable.
Yeah, or potentially you just didn't see it coming.
Okay.
There is those options too.
Yeah.
Things happen. Sudden death does occur.
Yeah.
People that you just don't know it's going to happen.
And is that driving some of the 1 in 5 not wanting a funeral, where they go, we just purely can't afford the...
I think it is. Yeah, there are parts of it. So there's two sides to that. There's the no fuss side, which is, just don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. I don't want to fuss.
Yeah.
Just, leave me.
Yeah.
Just cremate me. It'll be fine. And then there's I don't have enough money to pay for this.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
Because everybody deserves a farewell. Everyone deserves a funeral, so I believe. And if you can't provide that because of money, that's a difficult conversation to have with people.
And there is government support in this space, right?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It doesn't meet the threshold. That's the problem.
Okay.
So the reality is, right, that a funeral, a basic of all basic funeral will cost, and no funeral, so a basic of basic cremation, no service, will cost anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000.
Okay.
And then a private family farewell, which we talked about before, which are people gathering around the casket and doing that, could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. And then a full service, which would be, with the catering and the cup of tea and live streaming and photo shows and the theatrics, would be anywhere from $8,000 to the world's your oyster.
Wow. Okay. And I'd imagine that would differ depending on where you are.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the reality is that every funeral director has the ability to help you and to find a way to meet your budget. But the work and income grant is $2,616.12.
Well, to the cent, he's got it. 2,616.
And it's the funny thing is, when I first started funeral directing where I am now 10 years ago, it was $1,995.
Wow. So it hasn't moved.
So it's moved $600.
Yeah. In 10 years.
In 10 years.
All right. They don't keep it anywhere near the pace of inflation.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the basic of all basic funeral is $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
And the grant for working income is $2,616,
There's a gap.
there's a gap.
Yeah.
And some families genuinely don't have any money.
Yeah.
Genuinely can't afford to pay it. So the funeral director ends up with the debt.
Yeah. So you do the funeral, incur the cost, send the invoice, let's say, for business terms.
Yeah.
And then they get the funding from WINS, that clears some of it, and then you're carrying the cost of the rest of it if you can't recover it.
Yep.
That'll be happening all across the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Rural settlements probably more than but in saying that, I think every funeral home in this country will have had an issue with bad debt at some point.
Yeah. Be inevitable, right?
100%.
Because
what
there's so much emotion at this time.
and you're dealing with the public, directly with the public.
Yeah.
And it's an awful conversation
I bet.
to have a conversation about money with someone who's hasn't got any to pay for a funeral. Because you know the story, right? If you buy something, it's tangible, you get it. With this, you buy it, you're buying the funeral, and then you don't see anything for it other than your emotional loss and grief. You're buying grief. It's a very tough conversation to have with somebody.
Yeah. But like you say, people deserve a send-off, right? And so that's probably, for people who can afford it, that's probably how they're looking at it, is, right, they've done a lot for us, or they deserve this send-off. What's the most expensive funeral that you've seen then?
Well, I've done a couple in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
But I think you'd find around the country, I did hear of one that was 6 figures down in the South Island recently.
Queenstown, surely.
I don't know.
We don't want to speculate.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to speculate, but it would be, significant. And you can, but that would be catering for 500 people or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
And big send-offs create big invoices.
What happens with those big, national sort of send-offs where you even see them on the news?
Like state funeral
style?
Yeah, those people are appointed by the government a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And obviously that's paid for by yours truly. Yeah.
No problems.
Don't quote me on that though, because I'm not entirely sure how they work. I haven't had to do one. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one that you would have had to do was the very first one.
Yes.
Take us back to how old you were.
Yeah.
And how nervous you were and what that was like.
Yeah, I think remembering my first funeral. So when I first started in the industry at 16, I was very well sheltered from the general public.
Yeah.
As you could imagine, they certainly didn't like to put me out on show. So my job was based around washing hearses and cleaning and all that sort of stuff, putting together coffins and all that. And then I moved into the embalming space where, again, that was a completely sheltered. But I do remember going out on, one of my first funerals, and I remember the funeral director, clearly saying to me, your job is to stand there. He used some colourful language, and said, and look pretty. Stand there and look pretty. Don't say a word. Don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa.
I can do this.
I can do that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still wearing my suit, so happy days.
Tie on?
Yeah, my tie on.
Yeah.
So I remember going to funerals and being involved in a family's emotion when you're 16 is
heavy. Full on.
Yeah, real heavy. And I remember when I'll tell you what, first time I went into the mortuary and watched Embalming. And the first time I went in there, I walked out and we had this closet which had a mirror in it. And I remember walking up to the mirror going, you need to make a decision. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah.
Because this is serious stuff.
Yeah. How old would you have been then, do you think?
17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And far out, awesome you can have that conversation with yourself.
I think it's an important conversation to have, right? But I think everybody has that moment at some point in their career where they go, okay, you really need to make a decision here. Yeah, is this for you or not?
Be good if a few more people had that conversation now, actually.
Yeah, and I think once I'd had that conversation, I'd committed. I was like, this is me, I'm in.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get over it.
Fast forward 13 years.
Yeah. And so it's been an exciting journey. And then obviously when purchasing my funeral home when I was 20 was a massive learning curve. All the staff left when I took over. It was the end of that.
Yeah.
So basically I had to start again.
Wow.
And then we've built up a really great team since. And yeah, 10 years later, here we are, still going.
And how do you get on, like in those early days, rolling into someone's house? I could only assume that it would be, oh, where's your boss? Or something.
Where's your dad?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Yeah, even now.
Yeah.
Even now, my big thing for the last 12 months has been humanising the funeral industry. I've been massive on humanising us and what we are and who we are and what we're about and being ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of funeral directors could benefit from a bit of humanisation. And so we ditched the suits. We're in a rural, lower socioeconomic area. They don't want to see the Versace suit and the $1,000 haircut. You know what I mean? They want you to just look like yourself and be genuine.
Yeah.
And so people are really surprised when we walk in and they go, oh, they're almost taken back by the fact that you're the funeral director.
Mm.
And I wonder sometimes whether that's the age thing or whether that's the fact of we don't look like funeral directors. And we get the comments all the time, you don't look like a funeral director.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's the plan, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's deliberate, right? You've, and like how else have you humanised it?
All of our approaches have been changed. It's about my staff and myself really getting to the core of who we are and using our own personality to do our best job. Yep. Not putting on a show, not putting on a facade. It's really showing, your key emotion and how you feel and how you want to help that family. And yes, you're getting paid to do so, but your job is to be clear and concise and personable.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else around it will fall into place because you've got the skills, you're trained.
Nice.
So I think that's been big for us.
And even like social media and a bit of podcasting, you're sort of like trying to do what is normal in other industries and go, okay, we can show you some behind the scenes.
Yeah, and talk about it.
Yeah.
Why are we hiding it?
Yeah.
Embalming specifically is the hottest topic in the funeral industry.
Is it?
Yeah,
what,
always
for
is.
like outsiders?
For outsiders.
Okay.
They want to know what it is.
All right, well, tell us about it.
So embalming is basically the preservation, presentation, and sanitization of the deceased.
Yeah.
That's the three core principles. Basically, it's removing the bad bacteria, which is the blood, and replacing it with a chemical solution, which is very low in actual chemical. It's some of them are formaldehyde-based and some of them aren't, chemical-free some. And basically, it restores the natural look of the person, but also preserves the person so that the family can have an uninterrupted viewing experience.
Yeah.
And also that they're sanitized. So that's the core of embalming and what it's for. And it's been highly criticized around the world for being bad, unecological, uneconomical, when the reality is it's not the case. And bad for the environment. Well, unecological, bad for the environment. But nowadays, technology has advanced everything, including embalming. Our practices are different. Our chemical rates are different. Our products are different. Everything's different.
So is there an urgency from somebody dying through to kind of when you've got to do your thing to give the family the best possible outcome?
Yeah, it really depends on how long between the time of death to when we receive the person.
Yeah.
Typically, it's within sort of probably an 8-hour period, would be 8 to 12 hours would be okay.
Yeah.
But if the person's been at home, middle of summer, I think you get the picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it's a tough one, but
Does
most
it
of
get
the
to
time.
a point where somebody can't be embalmed?
Or to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some cases that I would probably go as far as saying probably not embalmed, but not viewable.
Yeah. So what other things do people want to know about embalming? I could probably guess, like, how does the blood come out? Then what do you...
Where does it come out?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Okay. You want to touch on that? Or people close your ears if you don't want to hear, but this is what Brad's got to deal with every week.
Yeah, look, and this is what it's about. So it comes out of the main veins, so jugulars, which are both sides of, you've got one on each side.
Yeah.
They're the main sources.
That's in your neck.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. And then your carotid arteries sit parallel to your jugular, and that's where we inject the chemical solution.
Okay.
So basically, small incision in the neck, typically. There's 6 places that we typically do it. Both sides of the neck, both femoral arteries, top of the thigh, and brachials, which are under the arms.
Okay.
Very less common out of the brachial, more common out of the top and top of the thigh.
Yeah.
And then basically we raise those, the jugular and the carotid, and then we basically, as we're injecting the fluid through the carotid artery, it builds pressure inside the body and pushes the blood out through the jugular.
Oh, I see.
So it's an in and out process at the same time.
Far out. So it flushes out all of the blood.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, most of it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what advice do you have for people who have to see a dead body? Because I know a lot of people don't like this, right? I even had a mate say to me this week, still don't enjoy it.
Don't enjoy seeing dead bodies?
No. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, right?
Yeah,
so
for
if somebody hasn't yet or has to at some stage, any
Yeah.
advice to help them go through that process?
I think it's important to be fully prepared if you can. Be fully prepared around what you're going to see. So have a conversation with the funeral director about, if you're going to a funeral home, for example, I would always encourage have a conversation with the funeral director about what you're going to see and how you're going to see it and how the room's set up.
Gotcha.
You're fully prepared. You walk in there knowing, okay, person's in the casket. I'm not going to be looking straight up their nose when I walk in the room. I'm not going to be confronted with it. They're just round over here. They're in a typical style casket and she's wearing this or he's wearing that and the lighting will be dim. Like just really
I see.
talk through the process so that then when they walk in, they go, oh, okay, that's exactly what he said. Not just sling open the door and go, there's mum.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
Because that doesn't do anything for anybody. And if you're in a position where you've got the opportunity to see a loved one and you're not sure about it and you don't know whether it's going to be a good idea to see the person or a bad idea, but you feel like you're conflicted, my recommendation is if you're wanting to go on your grief journey the right way, you need to have closure. The only way to have closure is to see it for yourself.
Yeah. So same before they die as well, probably?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because most of the time when people come in, if they're on a hospice case scenario, they look awful when they're dying. I mean, it's unfortunate. Some people just don't look good. When they come into the funeral home, they get fully washed, prepared, hair set, done, embalmed, colour comes back, teeth in.
Yeah, gotcha.
Eyes closed, mouth closed, dressed in their favourite clothes. Not every bloke goes in a suit because that's what the expectation is. No, don't do that. Put him in the clothes that he wanted to wear. So all of that stuff is important. And then you see the person, you go, oh my goodness. It's like mum.
Yeah.
That looks like her.
Yeah. Important stuff that people don't think
And
about.
I don't think they think, 100%.
No.
They don't think about it.
But for a lot of us, for all of us, we're going to end up there as well. But for a lot of us, we have to think about this stuff and go through it. What about over your career? Is there a saddest funeral that you've had to be a part of?
Look, I don't think doing funerals for children is good for anybody.
Yeah.
It's a horrible scenario for people to be in. Dealing with infant death or child death. It's not something I like to talk about that much. However, I do think that flipping that on its head a little bit, children being exposed to death is a whole nother conversation. I think it's really important that we don't shelter children away from death. I think children deserve to be involved if they want to see grandma, grandpa, whatever it may be, that they deserve the opportunity to do so. I hated funerals as a child. And my parents said to me when I got into the funeral industry, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You hate funerals. You never wanted to go.
Yeah.
You can't, I couldn't listen to music that I'd heard at a funeral, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I wondered whether maybe I don't know whether they did shelter me or not, I can't remember, but I remember going to funerals, but I don't ever remember seeing deceased people. So I think there's a lot of value in children not being sheltered from death, but in fact empowered to be involved in death.
Okay, and you live in an area of the country where there are known to be gang interactions.
Yep.
I'd imagine you've done some funerals of all sorts of different scale.
Yep.
Any tales to tell?
Look, the gang funerals are always different. They provide a bit of excitement into your day.
Yeah.
Look, I've had some really stressful times with gang funerals in the past. We have anyone that knows the area. We have a funeral home in Whakatane, which is associated with one particular gang, and we serviced a region which had another rival gang
Coming in.
everywhere around us.
Gotcha.
And the only way they could come, the only place they went was to Whakatane. And so, unfortunately, the gang in Whakatane weren't anywhere else, but all the surrounding Kawerau, Taniato, Potiki, all those areas all had the opposition. And so they had to come to Whakatane for their funeral. And so it got very stressful on multiple occasions. And the police, granted, probably didn't want to know too much about it, but it was stressful for our staff. And, from a health and safety perspective, it's not always good. So we opened a funeral home in Kawerau in 2021, and now we service all of those, the other side, outside of Whakatane. And there has been no gang trouble since we opened in Kawerau.
Far out.
Whereas we were having gang trouble regularly outside our funeral home.
You solved part of the problem.
Well, I solved the problem for the police, and then I never got any thanks for it. So, cost me $500,000 to do so.
Well, maybe the public will thank you after they hear that. Far out. Because I remember it was pretty scary for the general public at one stage with one of these funerals, and you were probably at the heart of that.
Yeah. So there was a shootout in town, which wasn't good. There was a lot of into fighting outside the funeral home, like right out on the front lawn sort of thing. And it's no good for anybody because, regardless of who they associate with or what gang the person might be a part of, they still deserve dignity in death. Doesn't matter. We treat everybody the same. And the reality is that it was not pretty. It was awful for staff, for the general public, for the neighbours, for everyone involved. So now I've never slept so good in my life, to be fair, because I don't have that worry anymore.
Yeah. Well, did it used to worry you when you did get one of those, and you just think, okay, you know what you're sort of in for?
It all blew up one night when I was in Fiji, unfortunately, on holiday, and it all blew up outside. That was one occasion, but it happened more than once. I mean, it happened, I want to say 4 or 5 times over the 6 years that, when we bought it in 2015, by 2021 we had opened up elsewhere, and we'd had 5 occasions that had been gnarly.
How do you deal with that pressure and that probably intimidation would probably be the word?
Gang families are really good with us.
Yeah.
We're there to help. So we don't have any drama at all. And we do exactly what we're required to do and what they want from us. But the general public can be quite intimidated by it. Yeah, and I think it's important that we are focused on the person and we used to always try our best to keep the peace as much as we could. But now, obviously, with the second funeral home, it's made life a lot easier. Yeah.
Far out. Okay, some questions from the crowd. Who do you socialise with must need some good social outlets in that line of work?
Funeral directors? Yeah, we socialise with each other.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I got funeral director friends all around the country, which are great support bases. You ring up your mates. And just touching on that, the industry is changing. So there's a lot of younger funeral directors that are coming into this industry now, whether that be via mums and dads that have inherited the funeral home and, it's going down the chain. But look, there's a lot of younger funeral directors now who are in a similar bracket to me and a similar understanding. And it's great to be, to have those support bases.
Yeah.
Because it's important to be able to share. And some of the stuff that we see or do can't be shared with general public.
No.
They just wouldn't understand. Not only would they not understand, but might be a bit confronting for them. So I think it's always important to have those support networks in your own industry as well as your own friends who, I guess, take your mind off it completely.
Yeah.
So you can have your support base in your industry and then your support base outside of the industry.
Have you had to learn to get better at it, or you're pretty aware of it pretty early on?
I think I was pretty aware of it real early on because it's a massive privacy thing, right?
Yeah.
Like confidentiality about who you're dealing with and what might have happened, because you always would, are you doing the funeral for so-and-so that this happened to them.
Yeah.
So, I can't really say, So, or what happened? Well,
because there'll be public ones every now and then, people speculating how do they die, that sort of thing, and then you may even know, or you may, see something.
Will you be involved?
Yeah, gotcha.
So, homicides, for example, are always on the news.
Yeah.
Disproportionately, the East Coast has had their trouble, and we deal with a lot of them. And it's a tough time for everybody, but it's a conversation that's not, that popular among funeral directors to want to talk, about it. So we've got our own EAP systems that are available to the funeral industry. But I think it's important to have your own support bases. Yeah.
It probably goes back to that conversation with yourself in the mirror.
A little bit.
Are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
You've committed to being in. So
because a lot of funeral directors can't hack it. People get into this industry thinking that it might be easy, or that, they've seen a funeral director at a funeral and that looks like a pretty good gig, we could do that. And then when they actually understand or realise what you could be doing or what might be involved, and the hours, it's the hours. People say it's a lifestyle, but I don't reckon it's even that.
Yeah.
It's not a job. It's not a lifestyle.
It's a calling.
It's a horrible lifestyle sometimes. Yeah. It's a calling. Yeah. You do it for service. You do it for service to the others. Yeah.
Nice. Someone asked, can you be a funeral director without being an undertaker? I don't even know what that means.
Can you be a what?
A funeral director without being an undertaker?
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I
was starting to wonder if some of these are like they're weaving gags in, because someone says, I'm dying to know what the most affordable way to go through this process is.
Good one.
Yeah. I think we've kind of covered off the affordable process. But yeah, well, I guess just to reiterate, what's sort of the I can't afford this, money's really tight. What's the way to give the loved one dignity and in an affordable way, you think?
I think one is communicating with your funeral director early on in the piece that you don't have the financial means to go through this.
Yeah.
Two is investigating how or what sort of money you are going to have and how much you're going to have available so that you can communicate that with the funeral director. And then three, actually going through with something that is within your means, possibly, as much as you can. And then, unfortunately, funeral homes are left with debt, and it's how you deal with that debt going forward. And not everyone can afford a funeral. So they have to work out a payment plan, or whether you can get some finance from somewhere, but, that's a whole nother tricky spot to be in. So it's a really tough one. I don't... Yeah, we get asked all the time, what's the best way to do it? And it's like, be prepared.
Yeah.
Just be prepared. There's insurance, we've got a product that you can pay minimum of $20 a fortnight into. Now, if you get onto that early enough, you're only going to pay what your funeral's worth.
Next one, how do people react to his age, which we've sort of touched on?
Yeah, sometimes interesting. People sort of are taken back, especially when I show up not only with the age, but also the way we dress, and like we talked about, the whole humanisation of it. Importantly, people take to the age thing well.
Yeah. I once went for a beer with you in Whakatane, I think it was,
Yeah.
And I said to you, basically every person in this town could know who you are,
yeah.
right?
Well, in our town, there's only two funeral directors.
Yeah, it can't be very
us and someone else.
Yeah, private.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, you can't go to the supermarket without someone knowing who the local undertaker is.
Do they ask you shit about death or?
Not really. They like the gag earlier, they're dying to know what's going on, or have you been busy? Oh, I shouldn't ask that. I don't want to know. It's like, why'd you ask then?
Yeah, well, the next one's work busy, question mark? Yeah. What scares you?
Heights.
Okay, heights. Yeah. Clearly not death.
Not death, no. Heights, yeah. No, Death is something that I always said that you've got to be empathetic. So empathy is the whole role.
Yeah.
And you have to be empathetic to the situation, not sympathetic. Two different things. You can have an element of sympathy, but empathy is what's required. But I always said that if I became desensitized from the death and from people's emotion, that it's time to get out. Because you cannot be desensitized and do this job.
Yeah.
It does not go well for anybody.
And then at the same time, you can't be taking on the pain of the family too much. Otherwise, you're going to go down the wrong path as well.
It's important for you to walk into the funeral home, understand your role, do your job, and then when you leave, if you're not on call, be mindful that you've left and now it's time to unload and go home and live a normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, why don't we have burial vaults like they do in the USA? They're burial containers. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, so in the States, everybody's buried in like a concrete vault under the ground.
Everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So long story short, they place a concrete vault, literally, underground in the hole, and then they put the deceased in it, and then they put the concrete lid on top.
With just randoms, strangers?
Anybody
Okay.
that wants to be buried.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
why do they do it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
It seems like an overinflated funeral-related cost.
So every country does things differently, obviously. Yeah.
New Zealand and Australia are very similar as far as how we do burials and cremations. But in the States, they do things differently everywhere. They're very true. People might find it interesting. The American funeral market is totally different to the New Zealand market. Totally different. Extremely traditional as far as the way they do funerals. They're still doing heaps of church services. Cremation is still 50-50, I believe.
Yeah.
Rather than how heavily involved in cremation we are in New Zealand. But we're running out of space in New Zealand. I mean, Whakatane, for example, doesn't have a new cemetery lined up and they've only got about 5 years left.
Wow.
And where are they going to put it?
Do you think it would get to a point where there's no burials? It's cremation or something new, like, okay, we can float you out into the sea?
Yeah, news story. Not sure what they're going to do, but I think we might get into a perpetual plot situation.
What does that look like?
I don't know, but I suspect that you may have a lease. It might be a lease plot, long term. So we're going to be reusing cemeteries.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean?
So
you would have a lease on that plot for 30 years, for example.
Yeah.
And then I guess you would get taken out and maybe cremated.
Ah, gotcha.
And then someone else would go into that plot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's the option? We can't just keep creating burial grounds everywhere. We haven't got enough room for housing. What about cemeteries?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What about the sea? Does the sea have an option?
I think you can do sea burial now.
Really?
Yep.
What does that look like? How do you do that? Why am I laughing? I thought I'd made something up.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
Burial at sea is actually quite common. We probably do, not us personally, but the industry probably does a few of them a year. You apply to the authority, give you a license, got all these regulations about how the casket must be, put the weights in the casket, and then you take it out to a designated burial plot, which is out at sea, and you offload the casket off the side and it sinks. And it's very common among navalmen,
Okay.
people who love fishing, the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they'll be in a plot of areas with others, obviously.
Yeah.
Most Kiwi don't have a financial plan. They have a she'll be right, mate attitude. Amy from Leverage is helping KTC listeners change that. If you're needing direction, clarity, or wondering what your next financial move should be, then book a call with Amy or download her free DIY financial plan to freedom. To do that, visit financialplan.co.nz. Just a random thing, Tesla. Now, I saw recently, I don't know if this is true or not, but on social media, so it probably isn't. You go into a cemetery at night, in the dark, you can't see anything, but in your Tesla, you can see people walking around on the screen. Have you tested that?
Yeah.
Is it true? Can you just tell us it's true?
No, it's true.
No, stop it.
It's true. I'm not joking.
Okay.
Even in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
So you go into the funeral in your Tesla.
Into the funeral with the Tesla.
Hey guys, I'm here.
No. You go into the
cemetery. Yes.
Yeah. We tested this.
Shit.
Go into the cemetery middle of the day. I've got it on film. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it over.
It's crazy. So you go into the cemetery middle of the day, and there's just you park in the middle of the cemetery between the headstones and stuff, and there's just people walking on the screen.
Wow. Yeah. Did that surprise you? Do you reckon Elon's trolling us?
I literally was like, just completely dismissed it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, whatever. I don't want to see it.
Okay. All right, next
And then
question.
they were, and then they were like, no, you need to see this. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. I don't know what to make of it. But
wonder-
I'll send it to you. It's crazy.
Yeah, Elon is pretty...
He's pretty out there.
Yeah. This one, mate, this might wind you up. This might be, I think this is something good to touch on. The first question I got was, does the feeling of gaining profit from death ever weigh you down?
No, I don't think it should. I think funeral directors, like any service, like any business, have to make money. Otherwise, we're not here. So the reality is business should be profitable, and that there's no excuse for why funeral directors shouldn't be profitable as well.
Yeah.
We're providing a service. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You've never in this lifetime had more options when it comes to funeral providers, funeral options, funeral caskets, everything. So I think funeral directors have to be profitable in order to be around.
Yeah. Who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it otherwise?
Yeah, you ain't going to see me doing it.
No.
Yeah, interesting question. Hey, one last one, mate, to sort of wrap up. Working around death daily gives you a unique perspective. What has it taught you about life, business, and what truly matters?
It's taught me a lot about resilience, especially in business as well as personal. Emotionally, it hasn't done a heck of a lot for me, personally, outside of business, because it's very difficult to turn that off and on. But resilience would be a big part of it, and hard work. It's long hours, hard work, and you don't always get what you wish for. But you always get what you work for, and I think it's important that people, especially in my business, understand. In our industry, it's difficult. It's hard graft.
I'd imagine a lot of the families tell you stories about their loved ones.
Yeah.
Any that have stood out, or any that you've kind of left that and gone, that's going to change the way I do things or think.
I think every time I go to a funeral, I walk away going, life's short, man.
Yeah.
Life's short. What am I doing?
Yeah, would give you that reminder, every
And
week.
I think everybody's got a story. Every story I hear at every funeral, I think to myself, man, what are they going to say about me? Why am I holding back on doing this or doing that? Or life's short.
Yeah.
And then you go away and you get on with life and you forget about it. And that's the hard part. But because I do this over and over and over again, I go far out. Life is short. Like, life is really short. And it can be shorter.
Then you realise.
It could be way shorter than you realise.
Yeah.
We're not all going to live to 80, 90. We're getting older, but, I could be hit by a bus tomorrow. You don't know. And the reality is, you've got so much you want to achieve. Well, what are you holding back? Why are you holding back?
Gee, it's deep stuff. Why are you holding back? There's good advice. You're going to die. We don't like hearing it, but it's such a simple reminder.
Yeah.
And you get to see it every week.
Yeah, and everyone, you get a lot of people coming into the funeral home, they've always got a good gag and they go, there's only two things guaranteed in life, death and taxes. I think to myself, oh yeah, you're right. And then they, and they say, oh, well, you'll never be out of a job. It's like, if I do a really bad job, I'm going to be out of a job real fast.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And I tell that to people too.
And also this person that says that you shouldn't be profiting, they didn't say that, but if they assume that you shouldn't be profiting from death, they're probably going to come and do it for free, mate. So they'll...
Might take a job off me.
Yeah. Let's see how long that lasts, eh? Well, mate, that has been fascinating. An hour very, very quickly. Anything we didn't touch on that you'd like to leave the audience with or get across to people?
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Yeah.
Acceptance and the reality of death will strike all of us one day.
Yeah.
And if you are not prepared, it's harder.
Okay. That would have been a great place to end, but I forgot to ask about pets.
Yes.
And I know
Yeah.
that people are putting more importance on their pets as well.
Yeah.
So,
The research tells us
Yes.
that people care more about their pets than they do about their humans.
gee whiz.
The research tells us.
Yeah.
We've got it. Proof.
People care more about their pets.
Only small, but
Okay.
they do. Yes.
Yeah.
People feel more grief over their pet than they do over their human.
When I talked about this on Keep the Change on Instagram some time ago, when you told me about this, the number of messages I got from people sort of defending that's completely fine versus people who couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah.
The explainers as to why. Geez, I got a lesson.
Hammered.
Yeah.
The reality is that pets have a special place in a family.
Yes.
They are. We've got a pet cremation business, and it is just people are no qualms about spending money on their pet when it comes to the death, and they will do anything to memorialize the pet. And sometimes I think to myself, there's no way that you would do that with your human. You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
so
they just have this massive impact on people's lives.
Yeah. So on one hand, we're going to a trend where people are having less funerals and things for family, and part of it is, okay, it's getting too expensive. We want to save some money if we can.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, it's like, holy sheesh, I can't believe this has happened to my dog, my cat, my hamster.
I'm absolutely cut up about it.
Yeah. And
It is the worst thing that's happened to me.
Yeah. And are they using the funeral home for... Okay.
So we've had everything from, pick the pet up and have it cremated and we just want the ashes back, to I want to buy a coffin for my dog. And so coming to the guy that owns the pet cremation business that also owns a funeral home, I sold them a coffin.
Yeah.
And they just could not have been more chuffed. And they took the dog home and spent time with the dog at home before bringing it back and having it cremated.
Did you have a dog-sized coffin ready, or...?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to become a wave, like it's a trend, on that side
I
more and more.
think pet funerals is going to be the next thing.
Yeah. Far out.
Not just the next thing, but I think just like we talked about with the farewell, they want to do something. It's crazy. It's crazy how much that has shifted in the last few years as well around pets, and how many people have pets. I mean, everybody's got a pet. A lot of people have a pet. How they want to memorialize the pet, how they feel about the pet, just completely cut up about it.
You got also people having less kids and more pets.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, they are a big part of our lives. People said to me, well, humans piss me off, my pets don't.
100%. They're always there for you, no matter what. If you've got a good one, unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, you can go to work, have a crap day, come home.
They're stoked.
Oh, they couldn't be happy to see you.
Yeah.
You go to work, come home, your wife's had a crap day too. It's no good.
It's no good.
It's no good.
Okay. Well, we won't get into that. Hey, I also didn't ask, we've got an increasing trend in the wrong direction around obesity in New Zealand too. You would have seen this play out.
Yeah.
What does that, when I say that, like what does that get you thinking about? Or, the bigger the person, the bigger the cost of funeral maybe? Don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Bigger the person, the bigger the cost of the coffin, first and foremost. And then, we have noticed that our standard casket has changed over the last 5 years. It's now not, the standard in Auckland versus the standard down here would be different.
Yeah.
In our district.
So they're getting bigger.
They're getting bigger. People are getting bigger.
Yeah.
There's a multitude of reasons why. We're unhealthy, we're lazy, but then also there's a certain portion of our population that are getting fitter and more healthier, because that's more healthier. That's not good English. Healthier and spending more time focusing on their health and their benefits and what they can get out of their life, I guess, to extend their life potentially.
Yeah.
But obesity is a big problem. Right.
Well, that has been Brad Shaw from the Funeral Directors Association of New Zealand, now New Zealand's youngest president in the role. Good on you, mate, for doing that. I think we are in this phase where we're seeing millennials and younger people take to some of these roles and go, you know what? Maybe it's a different age demographics time to have a go at this. It's not an easy thing to do. You no doubt have to deal with people at all different ages. You've then got the public. You're obviously very passionate about what you do, mate. I think the country needs more of that.
Appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, no, it's exciting. We're in a changing industry. I think providing a new face and a younger face at that to lead the industry going forward for the next couple of years is exciting. And I think the general public can be assured that our association provides positive grief journeys for people who do lose a loved one.
Good man. If people want to get in touch with you for some reason, outside of dying,
Yeah.
What's the best way for them to do that?
Email.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So Bradley at Gateway Funeral, GATEWAY Funeral, no S on the end.
Cool.
.co.nz. Happy to have a discussion about anything funeral related.
You got some podcasts that people can check out?
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
wanna learn
So
more
we've
too?
got a podcast called Celebrate Good Lives.
Yeah.
So been a bit slow on the uptake, been a bit busy, but Celebrate Good Lives is the podcast. You find it on all your normal podcast channels, and we sort of unpack all different aspects of death. You can find me on LinkedIn.
I'll chuck
Facebook,
some links to your Instagram, that sort of thing, in the show notes as well if people want to dig it out and get in touch.
Awesome. Appreciate that.